All right.
Beautiful.
All right. Why use AI tools as a manager or supervisor or whatever? Productivity. So, there's no guarantees about, a tool helping you be more productive. You have to become good at using the tool, right? So that's one of the keys. But for everybody who's used like ChatGPT or Gemini, Grok, you've probably gotten a flavor of how it can boost your productivity, particularly when it comes to generating content. If you need to, create a memo, if you need to create a document of some kind, if you need to do a little research. A lot of these things these tools are really helpful to do to help you out. Usually they're not going to be 100% exactly what you're looking for, but they're a really good start. You can look up how to do stuff, or if you have a decision that needs to be made, it can give you good, quick information for how to do it. Get to decisions faster. Communication, generating good emails. If you have already drafted an email or a message and you want it to check it for grammar, consistency, clarity, you can use it for those things. You can also support your team better because you can be more informed. You can look up and get answers for questions. You can help them get to resources that more quickly and easily. And it helps the company to be more competitive because you're more productive. The more productive that the company is, obviously the more competitive you are. All right, so let's talk about what they're good for. So first of all, LLM stands for Large Language Model. It's a very specific type of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence isn't just LLMs, but LLMs are kind of the big, new, shiny, awesome AI tool. You've had things that are similar to it in the past, but the tools have gotten to be much more capable in recent years. So some things it's good at: drafting content. Now, the key word here is drafting. A lot of times it will create something that's really good, but almost always you're going to want to take it and make it your own. It's going to use language that does not sound like you. It's going to include things that are BS. They're not true sometimes. You want to take it as a first cut, and it'll really cut the amount of time, total time usually, because it comes up with pretty good drafts that you don't have to change up a whole lot. Summarizing. If you point these tools to, for example, a web page or to an email, and that the web page has a lot of content on it, or it's a really long email thread, these tools are really good at summarizing. Brainstorming, they help you, they can be super helpful with coming up with new ideas. Let's brainstorm ways that we can boost our revenue on sliding glass doors. And you put that question out to one of these tools and it'll just generate a bunch of stuff. And a bunch of it is not useful, just like any brainstorming session. But to get a lot of ideas quickly, it's really nice. Explanations. Sometimes you just don't understand. You've heard a term, you've heard something brought up in a meeting or in an article. You can go to these tools and say, hey, explain to me like I'm in 5th grade what such and such means. And it'll give you a really nice, clear explanation of the thing typically. Tech help. Man, we use this all the time in IT. Let me tell you, it's a step up from Google search. Google search is super useful. It was a huge step up from whatever we had before Google search. But now we don't have to go through and comb through 10 different articles or forums or whatever. You can just ask these things a question and it'll give you usually more than you need tech help. All right, so let's talk briefly about what they're not awesome for. Typically, they're a little behind on, say, news or the latest trends, things like that. If you want to know what's the stock price of Google today, maybe it'll get it for you. So oftentimes, it's a little behind. So if you need something that's really up to the minute, your mileage may vary on getting really up to the minute info. Privacy. They're not awesome at privacy. Now, there are ways that you can maintain some privacy, but by default, when you go on a ChatGPT, if you say, hey, here's all of our customer data for the past year, including social security numbers, give me an analysis of whatever. That's not an awesome idea because by default, these tools use whatever you send it to train the model to make it better. So you don't want to be sending it proprietary information. You don't want to be sending it personal identification information on anybody. Specialized legal and medical advice. It's a good first cut. It's pretty much like anything. If you go search for medical and legal advice on the internet with Google, for example, it often is worth what you paid for it. So just keep in mind that LLMs are the same way. They're not experts. They're really good at processing language and taking in an awful lot of information and being able to put it out in a good, clear way. But that does not mean it's an expert. So just, take it for what it is. All right. So what tools are out there? Everybody's heard of ChatGPT, and that is sort of the industry gold standard. It's a great starting point. It is getting better and better. And not only can it do, give it a prompt and it gives you a text, it also is able to create images. It's able to create documents. If you say, can you put that into a Word document, it will generate it and give you a link to download it. It's really cool. In fact, this presentation was pretty much put together using ChatGPT. Gemini. Gemini is Google's version of ChatGPT, basically. But Gemini is also incorporated throughout Google's all of its tools. So if you're in Gmail, for example, there's a Gemini icon that you can click on. And for example, if you're looking at a really long email, you can click on the Gemini icon, and one of the options that'll come up in the right side of your screen is summarize this email. And Gemini will pretty quickly generate just a little paragraph summary of that email. It's wonderful for being able to do that. These tools are really awesome too if you have a contract. They can read a contract in PDF format or Word or whatever, and you can ask it to summarize, and you can even ask questions like, hey, is there anything in here that you might you can ask it something specific. Is there something that may come back to bite me later? Things like that. Anyway, Gemini is integrated into Gmail and Google Meet and Google Chat. It has just a lot of different things. But it also, you can go to gemini.google.com and just ask it questions like you can with ChatGPT. Grok is one of my favorites. So Grok is part of what used to be Twitter, now X. What's nice about Grok, not only is it becoming pretty reliable and strong in its answers, but it's also pretty up to date, and it leverages the data that's available on X. So it knows about X posts. You have a lot of news. Most news organizations are going to be posting on X. X just has access to a lot of what's up, and it also provides pretty good balanced explanations of things. One of the hard things is if you're interested in what's going on in the news, uh, obviously, different sites have their biases. Grok I find to be pretty balanced, and it lets you know kind of different sides of an issue. If something sounds too good to be true, Grok has a pretty good take on whether it's true or not. Perplexity. So Perplexity is kind of it's not as beautiful, as ChatGPT, but it digs deep, and it also shows you what it's doing to answer your question. So it'll generate some like little sub searches, and then kind of compile things, and it'll show you what it's doing, and it comes up with pretty good answers for more in-depth questions or things that may require a little more research. Now, other tools are starting to add more of that, what they call deep search capability. But Perplexity sort of was a pioneer for that. It's really good about going out and searching the internet for you. So it can also give you some more up-to-date stuff. The downside of Perplexity is it doesn't filter for biases all that much like Grok tries to. So just kind of keep that in mind. And then we should also talk about Microsoft's baby. So Microsoft's AI LLM thing is Copilot. Like Gemini for Google, Copilot is meant to be integrated into everything that Microsoft does and has. So you've got Copilot help in Word and Excel and PowerPoint. You also have the Copilot, website. You can go ask questions like you can ChatGPT. Copilot is also very much used by programmers to be able to help them generate their code more quickly with kind of mixed success, but it's supposedly getting better and better. All right, so let's get into a few demos. We're gonna hop out of this. There we go. And let's see. So for this purpose, for the purposes of this time, I'm going to focus mostly on using ChatGPT. I'll have a few examples outside of ChatGPT also, but just ChatGPT is sort of the standard, so we're just going to make it kind of easy and stick to the one tool. All right, so I want to generate an email. ChatGPT, write me a professional email to my team saying our weekly meeting will move from this time to this time starting next week, and make it clear and friendly. And so ChatGPT will think about it, and then it says, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a clear and friendly professional email that you can send to your team, and then it generates it for you. And then you have some options down at the end. You can give it some feedback. Hey, that's great or not. But you can also copy it, and that makes it easy to copy and paste. And then you have a few other options too. You can have it even read aloud to you. So that's kind of cool. All right, so let's go to Gmail for this next thing. Let's see, what did I do? Yeah, I went and found an email that was in my Gmail. There it is. All right, so just, this is one of the email people that I get. He sends out an email daily. Most of them are super short, but this one was not short. And so what I can do is up here, there's this icon that says Ask Gemini. So I'm going to click on that. And I don't even have to ask it. It just has as one of the options, summarize this email. And it goes through and it gives you a nice quick bullet point summary of the long email. I use functionality like this for a lot of articles. If the article's not just super quick for me to consume, I will start with a summary. And if I like what I read in the summary, then I'll go back and read the article. And it just, productivity wise, this is so helpful. I wish that you could do something like this for books. Just give me an overview of this book, and is it worth it? And technically, yes, you can use these tools to do that, because they're bringing in all the content of the book, but they have access to all the reviews that people do of books. And so typically in those reviews, you get a pretty good gist of what the book is about. And it can also go look at, for example, people do reviews in Amazon and all that. So anyway, super helpful to be able to summarize. All right, so let's say we want to create a document template that's kind of customized to what we want to do. Let me start a new chat here. And again, you can do things like this in most of these different tools. Generate a simple template for a weekly team status report. Include sections for goals, progress, blockers, and next steps. I'm going to put in create it in Excel format. Voila. And click on the link. And see what it came up with. Goals, progress, blockers.
I couldn't have this when I was in school, man.
I know, seriously, right?
Computer class, so
Yeah.
All right, so it had some issue opening that thing, but in most cases, you can actually open the file. We're going to move on with the demo, but yeah, it's pretty cool that it can create it in the format that you're looking for. All right, advice on how to manage a situation. All right, Grok, let's see how you do with this. How should I handle a situation where two team members keep clashing during project meetings? Need to maintain team harmony without taking sides. Requires careful, structured approach to preserve harmony, promote collaboration, and maintain productivity. Strategy that balances neutrality with effective conflict resolution. Assess the situation privately. Establish clear ground rules for meetings. Facilitate a neutral mediation session. And notice here, it like gives you the bullet points, but it also gives you a kind of a little summary, takeaway wisdom section too. Realign, follow up, and maintain documentation, involve a neutral third party if needed. So, this is useful. It's not necessarily authoritative. So it's just good to keep all of that in mind. These are tools to help you and give you a really good starting point, but it's not necessarily going to be like what you absolutely have to do. It's a really good starting point. It's like asking advice of somebody who's knowledgeable in a subject. All right. Let's have an example of asking for some technical help. My printer is printing blank pages. The ink cartridges are full. Help me troubleshoot. So you don't have to be super wordy, but you can be if you want. If your printer is producing blank pages, even though the ink cartridges appear to be full, several common causes and solutions to consider. Nozzle check. Clean the print head. Check the cartridge installation. Run the printer diagnostic tools. Reset the printer. Check the software and drivers. Try a different cartridge. So how much quicker was that than when you click on, in Windows, hey, Microsoft, help me troubleshoot? Usually those tools aren't nearly as helpful as ChatGPT. The other thing I've noticed is sometimes I'll ask one of these tools for help with something, and it gives me a thing to try. And my first thought is, no, it's not that. But then I go try it, and it turned out that was it. So, it's worth a shot sometimes, especially if it doesn't take long to try something. So super helpful. We talked about summarizing an article. Let me show you an example that's not, let's see. This is pretty cool. I don't know why it does that thing. So you can say, please summarize, and then give it a URL, internet address. Even give you some pics. How about that? Key findings that were mentioned in the article. Gives you the link of where to go look at the original, I guess. Maybe here. So this is the original article. So it does a nice job of giving you a quick summary. The other thing is that you can do follow-up questions that are related to the article, and it knows the context that you're asking the question of. That's super helpful. With a typical Google search, I don't know how well it is now with that, but these tools are keeping in mind what you've already asked, what you've already been talking about. Let's see, technical task. So there's something that you're convinced that you can do in Excel, but you don't know how to do it. How do I remove duplicates from a list of email addresses in a column? Use the built-in remove duplicates. Did y'all know there was a remove duplicates function in Excel?
No.
Now you know. You can do formulas. Yeah, and then it gives you a little summary of it after.
Can you show us how Grok works?
Yeah.
I haven't heard of that. I know it's the same.
Does Excel have the AI?
So Excel does have, it has the Copilot that's built in, but I don't know if it's built into the versions that we're using. Our versions are from like 2019 and 2021. Yeah. What are people talking about most today? It's tough to pin down exactly what people are talking about most today without real-time data from social platforms and news aggregators, but I can give you a sense of what's likely buzzing based on recent trends and patterns. So they're talking about AI and tech, social media and short-form content like TikTok, social and cultural shifts, global events and politics, health and lifestyle, entertainment and sports.
It's all the same. But
Yeah. typically when I'm signed in, it gives me more precise stuff. So it may be a little more helpful. One thing that it is talking about, I've noticed from this morning, Taylor Swift. I did a thing like this morning, and like Taylor Swift is maybe going to be making some big announcement, sometime soon. And so I asked, what are the possible things that she might be announcing, and so there was like a 12th album or re a re-recording of some albums. I think one was possible new tour. One was a documentary of her last tour. So yeah,
To Europe.
yeah.
And
So-
baby ain't getting there.
Yeah, Grok is pretty good with asking things related to news, but again, also explanations. So if I do, how does Grok work? Quick breakdown of how I operate: input processing, knowledge retrieval, reasoning and response. And then there's special modes too, like deep search and think mode. And they can also be integrated into other things. Maximally truth seeking, which I kind of like. I'm not crazy about BS narratives. And if there are BS narratives, then I want that to be highlighted. This is a narrative, for this. Anyway, so there you go.
Okay.
5 creative ideas. Let's do some brainstorming. Back to our chat. Come on, new chat, please. Okay. 5 creative ideas for team building events for a remote team, Matt, with pros and cons for each. Virtual escape room. I didn't even know that was a thing. Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah, I could be included.
Remote cooking class. Or cocktail workshop. Desk safari or show and tell. Team members give a short presentation or video tour of something personal.
In their truck.
Yeah. Virtual volunteer day, collective cause related activity like writing letters to people, or an online game tournament. So yeah, it comes up with ideas pretty quick. And again, not all of them are going to be awesome, but it's a wonderful start and it's super helpful for brainstorming. Find a website, let's see, or app for doing things. What are some good apps for scheduling home service jobs? I need something easy to use for small teams. Jobber. That's called Pro. And so for each one of these, not only does it list it, it tells you the features and it tells you pros and cons of it. And sometimes it'll give you pricing, but you can also ask about pricing and it'll tell you whatever it can find. Let's see. This one is old one now. One of my employees is usually late to meetings. I've talked with him already, but it hasn't helped. What else can I try? I've already spoken with your employee about the lateness and problem persists. Here are several structured approaches you can take next. Clarify your expectations and consequences. Use data, explore the root causes, introduce accountability mechanisms. Basically, here's how we're going to keep track of this. Model punctuality and offer support and flexibility if needed. So that's, that's pretty decent advice for, managing a situation that can be potentially problematic. All right. All right, explain how a window world double hung window works in simple terms, like you would for a new homeowner. Here's a simple explanation, perfect for a new homeowner. What is a double hung window? It's a type of window with two sashes, top and bottom parts that hold the glass. And they slide up and down independently inside the window frame. It goes through some bullets of how it works, benefits of it. Yeah.
Click on tips on menu.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Yes. Tips. So notice again, it understands what the context of what I'm asking. I didn't have to be super, verbose in how I asked. Mhm.
Check registration.
Oh, even a seasonal checklist.
Exactly.
Right. I love when I kind of love and don't love how helpful it is sometimes. Like sometimes it's over helpful, which that's not a bad thing, but it can be a little annoying if you're really looking for a very concise answer. All right. Yeah. All right. So prompting tips. Be clear and specific about what you want. As with Google searching, you get better at this, the more you do it. So, I would just encourage everybody to use the tools. Just, and instead of search, go do it in ChatGPT, go do it in Gemini, and just kind of improve your skills with it and see what it can come up with. Yes. Context and examples are helpful. So if you wanted to create a list of things, or you would like it to, you'd like to have it come out in a particular format. To me, I've found that it's super helpful if I say, do it like this and give it a few examples that show the formatting and the wording that you'd like it to model. It's pretty good at modeling from examples. Or you can also upload an existing document, do it in the same style as this document. You can ask it to rewrite or improve. So if you don't like what it came up with, then just say, yeah, that's kind of the right idea, but I want it to be more of this way, or, also include this, or, a lot of times when I've gone and asked it to generate images, it'll create an image with people in it, and it's just really weird with the way that they put the people in the image. And so I'll go back and say, okay, can you do it, but without including any people in the image? It's usually pretty good about redoing and coming up with something better. Yeah, giving it structure is helpful. Bullet points are numbered steps, and follow-up questions, as I mentioned. Okay, so let's talk briefly about some security things. You don't want to be putting confidential or sensitive company data or personal data into these AI tools. Now, the exception is it's okay. It's probably okay to do it if you get a certain version of the tool. So, for example, ChatGPT, I've upgraded the one that I use so that it doesn't use the things that you interact with it for training. Okay, so it was specifically designed, that version that costs a little bit, That version was designed for people to use internally in their companies so they can do data analysis and not worry about compromising secure information. Approved tools. So, in a company context, some tools are a little more potentially problematic. So one that comes to mind is called DeepSeek. There's been a lot of buzz about this LLM tool that was developed in China, and it's supposed to be, pretty doggone good competitor to ChatGPT, and it can run on less hardware. Basically, it's not as resource intensive. Downside is you may be, giving all of your information to China. So there's that. But also, if you're on TikTok, you're giving all your information to China too. So just, keep all those things in mind. If you're on Google, you're giving all your information to Google too. So, we can go there in our minds as well. LLMs don't forget what you share, so treat them like what you're sharing is publicly available. Your deep dark secrets, maybe, don't 100% trust that they're going to be keeping those secret all the time. All right, so we talked about why they're useful to us as managers, supervisors. We talked about what they're good for and not. We talked about what are some of the top ones that you may want to check out. We went through and did a bunch of little live demos of just to give you some ideas about ways that you can use these tools in a helpful way. We talked about how to be more effective in your prompting, and we covered a few security-related concerns and questions. So I'm opening it up to y'all. You have any questions, comments, things you want to share?
So I just downloaded this Grok.
Yep.
So if you do the free version, it limits how many inquiries you can do.
I think so. I don't know for sure, but typically with all of these tools, the free version is going to be a little limited in some way.
They have like $30 a month.
Go on Ignite and Incognito, so you can probably go as much as you like. I think.
I don't know. Just different tools are going to be different, and you can ask the tool typically, what are the limitations on the free version, and it'll tell you.
I use Chat GPT almost every day, and I have no limit, so I don't know why.
Yeah, typically what they'll limit is the higher level, deeper research aspects, or generating images, for example. That's a very common, limitation. They'll only let you generate so many per period of time.
Just great. Great tool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I know I fell in love with Google Gemini.
Oh man, super helpful in our context.
So when is the T9 coming?
I think next year.
Next year.
Not until next year. Yeah.
Okay.
Terminator reference. Yeah. Yeah. So Tesla is building the Optimus humanoid robots, and they're really cool. But I think you'll be able to actually buy one starting next year. And I think the plan is to actually send the robots to Mars first before sending people. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
You're gonna be thinking you're talking to a human one day in his
Just a little, story. My mother-in-law came. My wife's mom came into town last week, and actually it was time she went a few weeks ago, and so she leads a Bible study about every month. And so I I suggested to her to, go into ChatGPT, because like she was going to do a Bible study on heaven. And so she went in and asked it to create a Bible study about heaven. And she was just blown away. It was like everything that she would have wanted to do, for this Bible study. So she became an instant fan, and she says she's been using it for all kinds of things since. I will typically use these tools for cooking. If I want to know how to cook, chicken of this type with this kind of whatever, comes up with the recipe, the oven settings, and every time I've tried it, it's come out good. So
I have to try that.
yeah.
I use it for the quality monitoring, some, feedback on.
Oh, awesome.
And it works really well.
Awesome.
I use it when I'm trying to respond to the sales reps and I don't want to sound. So it gives you like options, like if you want a direct response or a little softer, but
Mhm.
or yeah.
And it's nice that it's built into Gemini too. So once you've composed your thing, you can, I think ask Gemini to, help you make it better pretty easily. Yeah.
Suppose you could probably tell it what ingredients you have too, and it could
Yes.
give you recipes.
Yep.
That's what I needed to.
Yeah.
I went to the grocery store.
There you go. So next versions of these tools have, agent capabilities, meaning that not only will it give you an answer, but it can also go and do things for you. So for example, if you want it to, it can actually make an online purchase for you if it has an integration with these different online shopping sites. So,
Wow.
you can do like Shopify things or, Uber Eats or
I
whatever.
wonder why we're gonna be so lazy.
No,
Yeah.
kids
So
can't even think for themselves anymore.
I know, man, it's getting harder for us too.
No.
All right. Anything else before we shut her down? All right. Thanks everybody for coming.
Awesome.
Yes,
Appreciate
Thanks for having us.
All right.